we are on the 10th chapter of Ernie Gonzalez, the Determined Dreamer. So I hope you guys have been following or catching up when you've been able to. So just want to say welcome to you if you guys are joining me for the first time live. So I know there's 2 people that are waiting for me to start, and that 3 people actually, Ben, Amy, and Tracy, who I mentioned Amy last week because it was her birthday, and this week they in between last Thursday and now they have caught up and they are watching today live. So well done to you guys. And anyone else, if you are watching this for the first time, if you want to catch up, you can always do that. The videos are about 15 minutes long. You can skip the intro and get straight to the story and catch up and then follow me live each week. So my name, just in case you missed it and you are joining me, is Beth Shepherd, and I'm the author of Ernie Gonzalez, The Determined Dreamer, and Escape from Paradise, and Top Secret for only you guys. I am working on my 3rd book, which I hope will be called Revenge of the Thug Slugs. So in this book, you meet the Thug Slugs. So we will be reading this one once we finish this one. So yeah, you'll find out in the 3rd episode what the Thug Slugs get up to. So how did you guys get on with writing your story? I didn't get anyone send their stories in, so please do feel free to send your whole story in and I would happily have a look at it, and I will be able to share some of it, maybe the opening, maybe the awesome problem, or maybe the brilliant ending, because we all know endings are sometimes tricky to do. So share your stories with me or any other work that you have done from these videos and I will love to read it out. So if we've got time, I have something to read out to you today, which is really funny. So one of my students that I teach creative writing to, so she is really making huge progress and she's starting to get quite funny in her writing, so I'd love to share. So let's get on with important business. We have got chapter 10 to read. Oh, no, that was ages ago. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There we go. A Sparkle of Adventure. So in case you guys are watching for the first time, I just want to quickly recap over what's been happening. So Ernie, the slimy, squidgy, brave, determined snail, has got a big dream. So, let me just say, this story is actually set in Spain, where I know Amy and Tracy and Ben are watching. So, gosh, I wish I was there, but it's really warm right now. Anyway, so this story is set in Spain in a small village called Vinuela. And this brave snail, Ernie, has decided to go and find a special olive garden because he is fed up living on an old plant pot by the side of the road with car fumes and dust and no good food, just scraps. He wants fresh food, fresh succulent olives and things like that. So he goes off in search of his dreams, but things are not as easy as he thought. And if you've been watching, remember where he ends up? In a soggy avocado, inside a fridge, and then on a plant pot in someone's house. Now, Ernie is also then being harassed by the annoying fly Captain Pablo, who we will meet again in the stories. I know some of you like, he's quite cheeky. So he is annoying him and trying to wind Ernie up and make him give up. But Ernie is so determined that finally he finds a way to escape being a pet. But what also makes it even worse is he discovers the reason why he's been kept as a pet. And then it's because he's being made fattened up to be cooked and eaten. So Ernie has now finally escaped, and then he has landed on a compost heap, which is just paradise to Ernie, although it's not his paradise garden because it is still just veggie scraps after all. But he has ended up on the compost heap and he has met another snail. Ernie can't believe it. He was so lonely, and now finally he has met Bruce, the Aussie snail. So let's hear how their friendship progressed and a bit more about Bruce. So, A Sparkle of Adventure. By now, the sun was getting lower in the sky, and the hours had passed quickly as the 2 snails chatted. Bruce told Ernie about how he had arrived from Australia. He had wedged himself in the grooves on the sole of a large boot to escape from a deadly hairy spider. So we know they have big spiders over there. So I don't blame him for hiding and escaping, but I'm not sure in the sole of a boot was the best idea, Bruce. But when he tried to wriggle free from the boot, he discovered that he was stuck. Oh my goodness. He managed to survive for 2 whole weeks by eating bits of vegetation off the floor, until eventually, to his relief, the owner threw the boots over the wall and onto this compost heap. Oh, sorry, I missed out a really big line. I said before he knew it, he was on a flight from Australia to Spain. I thought something was missing. He managed to survive for 2 whole weeks by eating bits of vegetation off the floor, until eventually, to his relief, the owner threw the boots over the wall onto the compost heap. So he ended up coming from Australia to Spain. I forgot what I had actually written. Bruce told Ernie of his amazement when he finally managed to pop himself out and discover that he was on a huge pile of food. What an awesome thing for a snail to discover. Wow, what an ordeal, said Ernie, thinking that Bruce's traumatic story made his problems seem very small. Yeah, but look where I ended up. This place is a never-ending heap of vegetable scraps. What snail could ask for more? Bruce said, as his eyes grew larger with the sheer wonder of his new home. How's my Aussie accent? It's not the best. To Bruce, this place was heaven. He would never have to go looking for food again, and he would defend it at any cost, which is why he's tried to scare Ernie off. Remember in the last chapter when Ernie arrived and he tried to make his voice sound large by being amplified through the milk carton, but Ernie knew that it was a snail. To Bruce, this place was heaven. He would never have to go looking for food again and would defend it at any cost. Ernie looked around. It really was amazing, and Aladdin's treasure trove of snail goodies. Ernie then began to tell Bruce his own story of the day he left home, his eventful journey in a vegetable box, and how he was almost squashed between 2 beetroots. Oh my goodness. Bruce shuddered at the thought. Ernie then told him about his visit to the vegetable market and how he had found himself in the fridge of someone's house. When he shared with Bruce about the empty snail shells behind the fridge and how he realized that he had been taken captive as a pet snail, his friend looked terrified and speechless. Ernie continued the story of his escape right up until their meeting, and described the joy he was feeling as they sat together on the glorious vegetable mound, knowing that he was finally free. Bruce listened with interest as his tentacles jiggled around on his head. He was an adventurous snail and was captivated by the story and intrigued by Ernie's determination. However, he couldn't help wondering why he had set out on such a crazy journey in the first place. Ernie could almost see the question running through Bruce's mind, but was reluctant to tell him about Olive Garden. For a moment, he hesitated. He couldn't bear it if Bruce were to laugh at him for believing in his dreams. But then he remembered his newfound strength and decided that it didn't really matter what other people thought. After all, he believed, and that was all that really mattered. It's a really good thing to remember there. If you have something in your heart, a dream, something that you really want to do, and someone else doesn't agree with it or doesn't believe in it, that's okay. It's okay to believe in your own dreams. So he took a deep breath, and then, with passion and excitement, he told Bruce all about his papa and how their ancestors came from a paradise garden long ago, and how his papa dreamed of finding it again. He took great delight in describing it in every detail, just as his papa had described it to him when he was a small snail. So that is where I am going, and no matter what challenges I face, I will get there. Sounds very determined, doesn't he? Finished Ernie. Bruce's eyes nearly popped out of his head, and his wide, slimy jaw dropped in awe. He was fascinated by Ernie's faith in his dreams despite so many obstacles. Although deep down, he didn't really believe that there was such an olive garden. With so much to think about, the two snails sat in silence, looking up at the stars and munching on a cabbage leaf. Just have a look. One of my favourite pictures in the whole book. Two new friends getting to know each other, looking at the stars. It's a great picture. Do you really think it exists? Asked Bruce after a long silence. Of course I do. I know it does, replied Ernie. It has to, he thought. Otherwise, all of this will have been for nothing. Suddenly, an idea came to him, and he turned to Bruce, who had a mouthful of cabbage. You should come with me, Bruce, and we can find it together. Great idea, Ernie. Bruce nearly choked on the cabbage. Me? You want me to go with you? Thanks for the offer, mate. Oh, forgot the Aussie accent. Thanks for the offer, mate, but I belong here. This place is fair dinkum. It's good enough for me. With that, he folded his tentacles. You're on your own, but I wish you the best of luck, he added, trying to look as though he meant it. But Ernie could see a little sparkle of adventure glowing in his eyes. The two new friends decided to call it a night. Bruce went back to his milk carton, and Ernie snuggled down on the soft banana leaf. He fell asleep under the stars with a warm feeling in his heart. It had been a long and tiring day, but he was free now, and although he had no idea how or when he would reach his dreams, something in his heart told him that he would, and that was enough for him. He fell into a peaceful sleep with a smile on his face. Wow, what a nice ending to the chapter. So we found out all about Bruce's story and what this Aussie snail was doing in Spain in a small village on a compost heap. So now we know what happened to poor Bruce, although I think he really did land on his feet, or his belly, actually. Do snails have feet? I'm not sure. Right, so well done for listening. So I have a couple of things. Tip, first of all. So let me see, what was my tip? Okay, got it the wrong way around. Planning. So we have talked about planning previously. And I have said to you, I think in the first or second book reading, planning is key. So any piece of writing, but especially a story, it is essential that you plan it. Because I think I might have said to you, it's a bit like if you tried to walk from here to a big city, like maybe a few miles away, and you had no map. So unless you've done it loads of times, but I'm assuming, let's think of a city that you haven't ever walked to. Can you think of one? I can think of one, London. So if I tried to walk from here to London without a map, I would be zigzagging all over the place. So when you write your story, it's exactly the same. If you don't plan where your story is going to go, you will find yourself zigzagging all over the place and it will be super difficult to write. And you want your stories to be easy to write so you can enjoy doing them. So, but my tip today is not that. My tip is when you are planning, start with the problem. So you don't always have to, but if you are stuck, think, what is the problem that my story is about? Stories are always about a problem. Okay, so think about your problem and then start with that. Okay. So have your planning sheet, write down opening, build up, problem, solution, and ending. And then first, write what happens in the problem. Then I always say, go to the solution. Don't worry about the opening and build up yet. Write the solution, write the ending, then go back and write the opening and the build up. Then when you look at it all, you might want to adjust the problem a little bit, but you might find that a whole lot easier than just starting with the opening. Because how can you open the story if you don't know what the problem is? So decide what the big problem your story is about. So that's my tip. Hope that helps. Should have given you that last week when you wrote your story, but now you can always use that to make your story even better. So my activity today, I'm talking about creating a problem. So sometimes when people write, they might start with a very simple problem. So it could be, let's have an example, two girls get lost in the woods. Great. Okay, so you write that as your problem. But that is great, but you want your problem to stand out from the rest of the story, okay? So you need to maybe build on it. So not only are they lost in the woods, can you build on that? So let's add another dimension to that problem. So they are now, it's cold and they haven't got their jumpers. So that makes it even worse. So then add another problem to the problem. So they have, it's getting dark. So now you have a time factor. There's a time element to the problem. It's making it more, they've got to hurry. And then maybe they've lost their phone. So now they can't call anyone. That makes it, there's a sense of how are we going to get out of this situation? So there you've got 3 layers to your problem, which then makes your problem a lot more rich. And then your whole story will be better because your problem will be stronger. So my activity to you today is, can you create a problem for a story and then add 3 layers to it? So think of a problem just like I did, children lost in the woods, simple problem. Or it could be not very imaginative, dog lost. I'm sure you can think of something else. Oh gosh, my mind has just gone blank. Snail kidnapped. Okay, then you can add snail kidnapped, but he has lost his map to get out of where he is. He can't find his way home, the window is shut. Add all these different things. So think of a problem situation and then add to it about 3 times. Usually it's things like cold, so feeling the time, there's a time element, they've got to hurry up and do something, or they've lost something, or a sense of danger. So I hope that makes sense. So you could just write for your plan 3, so it should only be about 4 sentences for this activity. So just want to see if we've got time to share someone's work. So I have, oh, okay, I think we've just run out of time to share this work, but I would love to share this next week because it is an awesome news article and it's so funny. I think actually she's going to work on it a little bit more. So let's try and read out next week. So guys, please send in your work. I would love to share it out each week and hear what you guys have been up to and how you're doing with your story writing. So stay safe. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube page and you can check out my website and you can find out resources to help you with your story writing. Take care and have a great day. Bye.